Well, I found it interesting that the day that we got a verdict on my daughter's murder suspect, and that it came back that he was guilty of first-degree murder, first-degree rape, kidnapping, third-degree sexual assault. That same day, legacy media played twice or three times the amount of sound bites for this illegal immigrant that was deported to El Salvador.
Democrat judge in New Mexico has resigned after he reportedly housed a suspected Tren de Aragua gang member on his property.
Homeland Security investigation agents raided Judge Joel Cano's New Mexico property and arrested this alleged Tren de Aragua gang member named Christian Ortega Lopez for being illegally in the country and in possession of firearms. Now, days later, Judge Cano resigned without explanation, and according to court documents, Ortega Lopez had been doing odd jobs for Cano's wife before being offered lodging in the couple's casita on the back of the property following his eviction from an El Paso apartment. And it says this: the defendant was introduced to Nancy Cano's daughter, April Cano, who possessed a large number of firearms. The defendant advised that April Cano allowed him to hold and sometimes shoot various firearms. It also alleges in the documents Ortega Lopez admitted he knew it was illegal for him to possess firearms associated with other TDA gang members and had tattoos associated with TDA, and worried about telling the judge's wife about an AK-47 tattoo, which is a known TDA identifier. Now, shortly after Judge Cano's resignation, the State Judicial Standards Commission petitioned the New Mexico Supreme Court to suspend him for harboring a TDA gang member, who in turn barred Cano for life from holding or running for any judicial office. However, no indication Cano is currently under investigation by the authorities. Now, we've also learned, by the way, Ortega Lopez illegally entered the country in Eagle Pass, Texas in December of 2023, Stu, but was released with the notice to appear.
What?
Joining us now, Angel Mom and mother and grandmother Patty Morin, whose daughter Rachel Morin was outrageously murdered by an illegal alien. Rachel Morin was the mother of 5. Patty, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, it is outrageous. It's a disgrace what happened to your daughter and what you and your family are suffering through. It's a disgrace that Democrats are putting angel families like yours through a living hell. What do you make of what's going on now with what Democrats are doing?
Well, I found it interesting that the day that we got a verdict on my daughter's murder suspect, and that it came back that he was guilty of first-degree murder, first-degree rape, kidnapping, third-degree sexual assault. That same day, legacy media played twice or three times the amount of sound bites for this illegal immigrant that was deported to El Salvador. I really think that they were trying to drown out Rachel's story and drown out the conviction, because then that would have proven that President Trump was right all along, that open borders are dangerous and it's killing American people, our mothers and daughters.
Well, this just feels like pure evil. I mean, has Senator Van Hollen, Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden, or any Democrat ever reached out to you?
Nope, I've never personally received a call from any of them.
So are other voters and other people coming up to you and saying what's going on is totally outrageous?
Yes, I have had actually a lot in this area where I live. There are a lot of immigrants that have come into Maryland. I think we're up around 100,000 new illegal immigrants that have come in to Maryland because of the open borders. And some of them are legal, and they're outraged by this, because the whole point why they went through the legal system to come here and to be able to live here is to get away from these criminal aspects that they have in their own country.
Flashback.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
What do you think about Trump's border policy?
I love it. I'm 100% for it. As a Mexican American, I truly believe that we need to take our country back. When I came to this country, I stood in line for hours and days before I could get my green card.
Do you know anybody that crossed the border without applying for a green card?
Oh yes, unfortunately I have family members that did. Cousins, nephews, nieces.
Because those people might be deported if Donald Trump wins.
That's okay. That's okay.
You would be okay with your cousins
I will be okay.
being deported?
Yeah, I will be okay. They can be deported, but they can also apply to come back to the United States, but do it the right way.
And how long have they been here for?
Years, like 20, some like 30 years.
How do you think they would feel about you saying that?
Oh, they would be very angry. They are angry at me right now. They don't talk to me because I support Trump.
When you heard that story, I mean, the Media Research Center is saying the media is giving more coverage, as you point out, to the Abrego Garcia case, the El Salvador national. A judge has said is an MS-13 gang member, versus less coverage to your story, what happened to you and your daughter, and to the third woman now murdered in Maryland. That's, again, Senator Van Hollen's constituent. What do you make of this case?
Well, I think that this is becoming the norm. Sad to say, we're going to see more and more women and children, people murdered in our state because of the increase in illegal immigration. And Americans are not against immigration. In fact, I would dare say all of us have grandparents or great-grandparents that have immigrated to America. What we are against is illegal immigration, having open borders, not vetting the people that have come into our borders, so that now we have millions of criminals living and walking among us and committing these horrific crimes. And I think that's just going to increase. And I think this, it's the Democrats, they have no grounds for what they're trying to say here. They say we need to have rule of law, we need to have due process. Well, any American could go on the government website, look up immigration, and you will see that due process is a part of the process, step by step. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we hear you. Patty Morin, mother of Rachel Morin, brutally murdered by an illegal alien. You're an American hero. We appreciate you so much coming on the show and speaking out. We'll be staying on this coverage, okay? And it's important what you just said for America. Patty Morin, thanks for joining us.
What about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park? And what about the human right to live, or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers.